Good day. Today I will be presenting a research entitled A Lava Flow Simulation Experience Oriented to Disaster Risk Reduction, Early Warning Systems and Response During the 2021 Volcanic Eruption in Cumbre Vieja, La Palma. For the overview of this study, first with the introduction, study area, data sources, methodology, results and discussion, and conclusion. Lava flows, while rarely fatal, can cause significant destruction to infrastructure, property, and economic activity. The 2021 eruption of Cumbre Vieja lasted for 85 days, covering vast areas with lava and causing severe damage. Given the urgency of such disasters, fast and accurate predictions of lava flow paths are critical. This study explores the effectiveness of a lava flow simulation model in predicting the trajectory of lava and supporting risk reduction efforts. For
The study area of this research is in La Palma, which is one of the most volcanically active islands in the Canary Archipelago. The island is divided into two main topographical units. First is the, first is the Taburente volcano in the north and Cumbre Vieja in the south, which has been the primary center of volcanic activity for the past 150,000 years. These are the data sources for this study. First is digital elevation models. First DEM was used at the beginning of the eruption. It was a pre-eruption and source from the Instituto Geográfico Nacional or the IGN, and this model had a spatial resolution of 5 meters. While the second DEM was created during the eruption to account for topographic changes due to lava deposition. It also had a 5-meter resolution and was used to update the simulation as the terrain evolved. Next is the lava flow perimeters. The spatial extent of lava flows was tracked and used to validate simulations. These data were obtained from the Cabildo de Palma and made publicly available via the open data platform. The last one is the emission point locations, initially gathered through on-ground observations by local emergency teams. Later, it is refined using remote sensing data from the Copernicus program, which provided higher precision through satellite imagery. Next, for its methodology, first with the model selection, operation, previous calibration, and validation. As we can see, this figure presents the results of a simulation that aimed to predict lava flow susceptibility, validated using data from 1949 eruption of the San Juan volcano. The background shows a shaded relief map representing the topography of the area around the San Juan volcano, and this provides a visual context for the simulated lava flow. Then, as we can see from the right side, the fitness index values, it provides a quantitative metrics to evaluate the performance of the simulation. First is the true positive. This represents the proportion of the actual lava flow area that was correctly identified as having high susceptibility by the simulation. A value of zero point 0.3 suggests that 30% of the actual lava flow fell within the high susceptibility zone. Next is the false positive, uh, which represents the proportion of the high susceptibility area predicted by the simulation that did not experience lava flow in 1949. Then the false negative, this represents the proportion of the actual lava flow area that was incorrectly identified as having low susceptibility by the simulation, and a value of 0.05% of the actual lava flow fell within the low susceptibility zone, which is a relatively good result. Next one is the development of simulations during the volcanic emergency. This figure visualizes the how a simulated lava flow evolves over time and potentially overflows into areas that is not covered by the actual historical lava flow. As we can see, the first figure shows the initial state. Both simulations appear to be largely contained within or close to the boundaries of the real lava flow. The next one, as time progresses, both simulations have expanded notably. The arrows indicate that both simulation 1 and 3 are beginning to overflow or spread into areas at lower altitudes that were not part of the actual historical lava. Third one, the overflow or spilling becomes more pronounced or visual in this stage. The simulated lava flows have clearly extended beyond the boundaries of the real lava flow in the lower altitudinal areas as indicated by the arrows. And then the last one represents a later stage where the simulated lava flows have continued to evolve. We can see the final extent of both simulations in relation to the real lava flow. Both simulations show a significant spread into the lower altitude areas compared to the actual event. And then the last one for the methodology is the validation method. These figures provide a simplified grid-based illustration of how the kappa index is used to assess the agreement between a simulated lava flow and a real observed lava flow. On the left side, we can see the input data. First is the simulated lava flow on the top and the real lava flow on the bottom grid. On the right side, we can see the comparison and kappa index components. This larger grid visually compares the simulated and real lava flow cell by cell. Each cell is colored based on the agreement or disagreement between the two input grids. And as we can see, the white or the white color grid are the correctly identified as unaffected. The light green are correctly identified as affected. The color orange is the simulation underestimated extent here. And the light yellow is the simulation overestimated the extent. Results in discussion, it is divided into three stages. First is the early stages, ranges from day 2 to day 11. Simulation 1 is used but shows low kappa values, indicating poor to moderate agreement with observed lava flow. Into day 36, simulation 2 and 3 are introduced in this stage. Simulation 2 shows improved agreement, while the simulation 3 at day 36 reaches a kappa of 0.686, indicating a further improvement. And this visual overlap between simulations and observations. The later stages ranges from day 41 to day 85. Simulation 3 performs best with kappa values from 0.731 to 0.799. And this map shows a strong match between simulated and actual lava flow. Kappa values are also suggested accuracy over time. So, across the later stages of the eruption, simulation 3 consistently yields the highest kappa values, suggesting it is the most successful in capturing the spatial characteristic of the lava flow over time. In conclusion, the QLAVHA model proved to be an efficient and accessible tool for disaster risk reduction. It provided rapid and reliable information, which was crucial for emergency management during the eruption. And this research highlights the importance of integrating simulations models into early warning systems for the future volcanic events. All for this presentation.